the room volume higher, but not remote volume higher. Our our technician is working on it. Better?
No, still lower.
Still lower. Okay. Tell me if that's any better. Any better? Still low. Okay, okay. He's trying to figure it out. And he hasn't figured it out yet. Hmm. Krishna Krishna. Krishna Krishna. Krishna Krishna Krishna. Hey! Krishna Krishna. Krishna Krishna. Krishna Krishna. Krishna. Hey! Rama Raghava. Rama Raghava.
Yeah, now it's a little better.
Rama Raghava Rakshamam. Krishna Keshava. Krishna Keshava. Krishna Keshava Pahimam.
Hare Krishna.
Okay. As you see on the screen, we're going to be discussing Chapter 61 from Canto 10, entitled Lord Balaram Slays Rukmi.
正如大家在荧幕上看到的，今天早课我们来讲述圣典博伽法坛第10篇第61章，标题是主巴拉拉玛杀死Rukmi。
Let's do a little reminder of who is Rukmi.
我现在来提示一下，让大家提醒大家一下，谁是 Rukmi？
Rukmi is Rukmini's elder brother.
Rukmi 是 Rukmini 的哥哥。
Rukmi wanted his younger daughter to marry Shishupal.
Rukmi 原本想要把他的妹妹 Rukmini 嫁给Shishupal。
And there was no way that Rukmini was going to marry that person. But Krishna came to the rescue, and he kidnapped Rukmini, and they became married.
但是 Rukmini 嫁给一个坏家伙是根本不可能的，是没门的事。
As you
Krishna 他劫走了，他绑架了 Rukmini 在战场上。
you probably remember, we had 3 full classes just describing this wonderful pastime of Krishna's marriage with Rukmini.
大家应该还记得，我们在前面花了3节课的时间来讲述 Krishna 迎娶 Rukmini 的3个系列的讲课。
Rukmi chased Krishna. Krishna captured him and humiliated him like you see in this painting.
那会儿 Rukmi 追逐 Krishna， 后来 Krishna 将他擒获，并且就像在这个图片上所看到的 ，Krishna 羞辱了他。
Please read.
Yes， 如 Krishna 用一块布捆绑了邪恶之徒，接着他滑稽地挑去了 Rukmi 的毛发，只留下他的部分胡须和头发，使他模样难看。
Rukmini pleaded with Krishna to spare her brother's life.
Rukmini 后来他祈求 Krishna， 让 Krishna 饶了他的哥哥 Rukmi 的性命。
So Krishna didn't kill him, but he humiliated him very badly.
Krishna 没有杀死 Rukmi， 但是 Krishna 狠狠地羞辱了他一顿。
Well, you can imagine how Rukmi felt toward Krishna, right?
你们大家可以想象一下，那 那会儿 Rukmi 他心里对 Krishna 的感受是怎样的？
And so Rukmi had great affection for his younger sister.
Rukmi 特别的深爱着他的妹妹 Rukmini，
And he had great animosity towards her husband, Krishna.
而Rukmini 对她的丈夫是非常的慎重的。
Following the marriage of Rukmini came another set of marriages which we're going to review this morning.
那关于 Rukmini 的这桩婚姻，接着我们在后面也会讲到另一桩婚姻。
The number of wives that Krishna had in Dwaraka was 16,108 wives. Rukmini was the first.
Krishna 在 Dwaraka 城堡一共有16108位皇后妻子，那 Rukmini 是其中的第一位皇后。
Now let us begin chapter 61.
我们现在来开始圣言国家瓦坛第10篇第61章的内容。
Please read.
Yes， Sukadeva Goswami 说道，就是 Krishna 的每位妻子都有10个儿子，个个都不比他们的父亲逊色，拥有他自身的一切富裕。
So you just multiply 10 times 16,000, you get 160,000. He had a lot of sons.
大家把这个16108乘以10，然后就能够得到一个161080，他们有这么多的儿子。
And each of those sons had 10 sons.
而且每一个儿子也有10个儿子，
He had a big family.
所以这个家族非常的庞大。
Please read.
Yes， 每位王妃看到主阿丘达从未离开自己的宫殿，所以他们都以为自己是主的最爱。这些女士不明白关于他的全部真理。
Could you make this full screen so the people in the room can see the full screen? Can you do that? I'm speaking to our technology person. He's going to help our in-room viewers read the text. So now it's split, but it needs to be 2. Excuse 1. Okay, so because of Krishna's mystic powers,
由于 Krishna 的神秘的力量，
he was able to be simultaneously present in each palace
Krishna 能够同时的出现在每一座宫殿里，
and the queens thought Krishna's with me alone. They didn't understand that Krishna was simultaneously with each of the queens.
所以每一个皇后都以为 Krishna 独自的和他们各自在一起，但是他们不知道，实际上 Krishna 是同时存在于每一座宫殿里。
That's pretty amazing because Krishna lived in Dwarka for 100 years. They must have talked with each other.
所以这是非常令人不可思议的。Krishna 在 Dwarka 居住了上百年，
But
他们总是在互相的谈论。
But somehow they thought Krishna's with me alone.
但是不知怎地，这些皇后们都认为 Krishna 单独和自己在一起。
I am Krishna's favorite wife.
他们都认为我是 Krishna 最亲爱的妻子。
They weren't proud, like a materialistic person might be proud. They were just very encouraged with the kind of affection that Krishna was showing to them.
这些皇后们并不是像世俗的普通人那样内心有骄傲，但是他们完全被 Krishna 的仁爱所激励。
Please read.
Yes， 至尊主的妻子们完全被他可爱的莲花脸、修长的手臂、大大的眼睛、充满爱意的含笑贴视， 和他跟他们风趣的谈话所迷住，但是这些女士们以她们所有的魅力都不能征服无所不能的主的心意。
We all know the meaning of Bhagavan.
大家都知道 Bhagavan 的意思。
Bhagavan means that Krishna has all opulences in full.
Bhagavan 的意思是 Krishna 完全的拥有所有的一切富裕。
Not only does Krishna have all opulence, but he has all renunciation.
Krishna 不仅仅拥有一切的富裕，全然的拥有一切富裕，而且 Krishna 也拥有全然的气绝。
Although they had all feminine charms, Krishna was not conquered, but Krishna was giving himself to them equally.
虽然这些皇后们，她们具有她们自身的所有的魅力，但是 Krishna 并没有被她们所征服。然而 Krishna 他平等的将自己给予了他们每一个人。
Please read.
因为6000位皇后，她们的弯眉通过坏心的含笑的眼角贴饰，迷人的表达了这些女士们秘密的意图。
They had love for Krishna, and they were expressing their love in various ways, including even with their eyes.
这些皇后们深爱着 Krishna， 她们以她们的各种方式去表达对 Krishna 的爱意，甚至用他们的眼睛、眼神来表达他们对 Krishna 的深爱之情。
Please read.
就这样，他们的眼眉大胆地传递出情侣之爱的讯息。然而，即便通过这些丘比特之箭和其他种种方式，他们也无法激荡主 Krishna 的感官。
Again, this is one of Krishna's opulences, the opulence of detachment.
在这里再一次的描述了 Krishna 的其中的一种富裕，这种富裕就是 Krishna 的气绝。
Detachment doesn't mean that Krishna was cold or aloof, but he was fully engaged in all kinds of loving dealings with his wives, his queens, but he wasn't agitated as a materialist would be.
那么 Krishna 他拥有气绝，并不意味着 Krishna 冷酷无情。那在这里 Krishna 他全然的投入在对这些皇后们的这种情感的交流当中，但 Krishna 并没有被他们的这种爱意的表达的感官所激荡，并没有像物质主义者那样感官被他们所激荡。
Each of these queens felt themselves to be like maidservants of Krishna.
每一位皇后都感受到自己是 Krishna 的女仆。
Please read.
Yes， 这些女子就这样得到信女神的主人做他们的丈夫，尽管就连 Brahma 等伟大的半神人们也不知道该如何接近他。
Here's a painting showing the queens and their assistants with Krishna in one of the palaces, one of the 16,000 palaces.
在这张图片上，我们可以看到 Krishna 在16108座宫殿当中的其中的一座。那么，这位皇后和她的女仆在 Krishna 的身边侍奉着 Krishna。
Read.
Yes， 怀着不断增长的喜乐，他们感到对他充盈爱意的心理。他们与他互送微笑的贴士，他们热切期盼与他永恒长新的亲密联谊，渴望以许多的方式跟他共享欢乐。
This is a very unique kind of loving relationship with Krishna.
这是跟 Krishna 的非常独特的跟 Krishna 的关系。
In Vaikuntha, there's one Lakshmi and one Narayan in each Vaikuntha planet.
在每一个外昆的星球上，只有一位 Lakshmi 和 Narayan。
And in Ayodhya, there's one Ram and one Sita, and there's no extra wives.
在 只有一位 Sita， 只有一位 Rama。那 Rama 除了 Sita 之外，没有其他的妻子。
But in Dwarka, Krishna manifests so many Krishnas, and there's so many queens that are all expansions of the goddess of fortune.
而在 Dwarka， Krishna 将自己扩展成许许多多，而这一些皇后们分别都是 Lakshmi 的扩展。
Please read.
Yes。虽然至尊主的皇后们每位都有成百上千的女仆，她们仍选择亲自服务主，谦卑地靠近他，为他供奉作废，用精致的物品崇拜他，为他沐足按摩，给他槟榔咀嚼，为他扇凉，为他涂抹芳香的檀香浆，用鲜花花环装饰他，给他梳头，整理床榻，为他沐浴，赠送他各种礼物。
They liked cleaning the floors.
他们特别喜欢打扫地面，
It's specifically described in Krishna book like that.
尤其在《Krishna 快乐的源泉》这本书当中描述了这一点。
They're queens of the personality of Godhead with hundreds and thousands of maidservants, and they're on their hands and knees polishing the floor.
这些皇后们，她们是至尊人格守，她们全都是至尊人格守神的皇后们，而且这些皇后们身边有成千上万的礼仆，所以她们是没有必要亲自去打扫这面。
We don't hear so much about queens doing things like that.
我们并没有听到许多皇后们亲自去打扫地面的这样的描述。
Now I'm going to go on a little detour.
我现在来继续深入讲述。
I'm going to remind you of something that we've already covered in about 8 different classes, and that's how it was that Krishna married 16,108 queens.
我现在想来提醒大家，想一下前面的课程当中，大概用了8个课时的时间来讲述了 Krishna 是如何迎娶他的这些16108位皇后的。
You probably remember Krishna leaving Mathura by climbing up a mountain and jumping off with Balaram and then going quickly back to Dwarka to marry Rukmini.
你们大家可能还记得，在 Mathura 的时候 ，Krishna 和 Balaram 从山上跳下逃跑，然后回到 Dwarka 去迎娶了 Rukmini。
They were not running from Jarasandha for fear because they had already defeated him single-handedly so many times.
他们并不是因为害怕加尔桑达而逃跑，在此之前，他们已经单枪匹马地打败过加尔桑达很多次。
But Krishna knew it's time to marry Rukmini. Let's go.
但是 Krishna 知道是时候迎娶 Rukmini 的时候了，所以他就想让我去迎娶 Rukmini 吧。
So we heard the detail of this marriage between Krishna and Rukmini.
所以在那次讲课的时候，我们详细的讲述了 Krishna 是如何迎娶 Rukmini 的。
Rukmini gave the plan.
Rukmini 提供了他的计划。
And Krishna executed Rukmini's plan.
而 Krishna 执行了 Rukmini 的计划。
And after he kidnapped her, there was a big marriage ceremony in Dwarka.
在 Krishna 绑架了 Rukmini 之后，他们回到 Dwarka 举行了盛大的婚礼。
And in between was that situation where Rukmi was captured by Krishna, and then he set him free.
而在那期间 ，Krishna 擒获了 Rukmi， 后来又将他放走了。
After this first marriage with Rukmini, the second wife was Jambavati.
在 Krishna 娶了他第一位皇 皇后 Rukmini 之后，他迎娶了他的第二位皇后 Jambavati。
Jambavati was the daughter of Jambavan.
Jambavati 是 Jambavan 的女儿。
And there we see Jambavan giving his daughter, along with the Shamantaka jewel, to Krishna.
我们在这个图片上可以看到 Jambavan 将自己的女儿 Jambavati 和 Shamantaka 宝石一起送给了 Krishna。
I'm sure you remember that wonderful story. That also took several classes.
我相信大家肯定记住了这一段美妙的消时光。我们在前面花了1-2节课来讲述的。
The whole story of the Shamantaka jewel is a very interesting story.
关于 Shamantaka 宝石的整个故事是非常有意思。
Here's Jambavan giving his daughter and the jewel to Krishna.
在这个图面上，我们可以看到 Jambavan 将自己的女儿 Jambavati 还有 Shamantaka 宝石一起赠给了 Krishna。
And when Krishna returned back to Dwaraka with Queen number 2, Jambavati,
后来，当 Krishna 带着他的第二位妻子 Jambavati 一起回到 Dwaraka 之后，
the jewel was returned to Satyajit, Satyabhama's father,
Shamantaka 宝石归还给了 Satyajit， 也就是 Satyabhama 的父亲 Satyajit 归还给他了。
Satyajit thought it best to give his daughter and the jewel to Krishna.
Satyajit 想最好把自己的女儿 Satyabhama 和 Shamantaka 宝石一起赠送给 Krishna。
Krishna gave the jewel back to her father, but accepted Satyabhama as his third wife.
Krishna 将 Shamantaka 宝石还给了 Satyabhama 的父亲 Satyajit， 但是他接受了 Satyabhama 为他的第三位妻子。
Then, in another class, we heard about the next 5 princesses that became Krishna's wives. So this is a little review.
在接下来的课程当中，我们又讲到了 Krishna 迎娶了5位公主，这是给大家来回顾一下前面课程所讲述的内容。
So please remember, we're discussing the 8 principal queens of Krishna and then the 16,100.
请大家记住，我们在前面的课程已经讨论过了 ，Krishna 迎娶了他的8位主要的皇后，以及另外的16100位皇后。
This is a review because we've already discussed all these.
这是我们对前面课程的一个回顾。我们在前面的课程已经讨论过这些题目。
Of the 5 princesses, the first one described in this chapter is Krishna's marrying Kalindi.
在迎娶后来的这5位皇后当中，讲到了第一位是Krishna 迎娶 Kalindi。
Krishna and Arjuna were in a forest.
那个时候 ，Krishna 和 Arjuna 一起去到一座森林。
They saw a very special, attractive, beautiful woman. Krishna asked Arjuna to find out who she was.
他们看到了一位非常迷人的女士，于是 Krishna 让 Arjuna 去询问这位女士她的身份。
Please read.
Yes. 在捕猎了危险的森林动物之后，2位密友在Jamuna河沐浴，喝饮了清澈的河水。接着，2位了不起的战士看到一位迷人的年轻女子正在附近散步。
Kalindi answered Arjuna's questions in this way.
Kalindi 是这样回答了 Arjuna 的提问的。
Read.
Yes， 我以Kalindi闻名于世，我住在父亲为我在Jamuna河中建造的宅邸里，我会在那里一直住到遇见主Achyuta为止。
What an interesting place to live, inside a river.
他住在一个非常有意思的住宅里，这个住宅就在水中。
She lived in a mansion inside the river Jamuna.
Sorry, Gunnar.
She lived inside a mansion within the river Jamuna.
他住在贾木纳河的区域里，住在贾木纳河里。
And she was just waiting to marry Krishna.
他在那里一直等待着嫁给 Krishna。
Oh, Krishna was ready. He accepted wife number 4.
Krishna 准备好了，于是把她接受为第4位妻子。
And now comes wife number 5, Mitravinda.
接下来，他迎娶了第5位妻子 Mitravinda。
Do you remember about Mitravinda?
你们大家还记得 Mitravinda 吗？
Here's what we learned.
我们从这段描述当中可以了解到 ，Vindhya 和 Anuvindhya 分享着Avanti 的王权，他们是Duryodhana的追随者。当迎来他们的妹妹 Mitravinda 的选夫大会 Swayamvara 仪式时，他们禁止他选择 Krishna， 尽管他已被 Krishna 吸引。
How unfortunate.
那是多么不幸的一种情况啊！
Their elder brothers were friends of Duryodhana.
Mitravinda 的2位哥哥是Duryodhana 的追随者。
Sounds like Rukmini was the younger sister of Rukmi, who was friends with Shishupal.
听上去就跟 Rukmini 当时的处境一样。当时 Rukmini 他的哥哥 Rukmi 也是Shishupal 的朋友。
So what did Mitravinda do?
Mitravinda 是怎么做的呢？
She wanted Krishna as her husband, and Krishna, being omniscient, he came to take her away.
Mitravinda 想要嫁给 Krishna， 然后 Krishna 让他如愿以偿，绑架了他。
Read.
Yes， Krishna 当着众多对手君王的面，强行挪走了 Mitravinda 公主，她姨母 Rajadidemi 的女儿。
So there's Krishna and Mitravinda riding away in a chariot with soldiers chasing after them.
我们在这个图片上可以看到 Krishna 和 Mitravinda 同坐在一辆战车上，后面有很多的君王在追赶他们。
That's wife number 5 of the special 8.
在这8位主要的皇后当中 ，Mitravinda 是第5位。Krishna 就这样迎娶了他的第5位皇后 Mitravinda。
Next, Krishna married wife number 6, who was Nagnajiti.
接下来 Krishna 迎娶了他的第6位妻子 Nagnajiti。
Nagnajiti was the daughter of King Nagnajit.
Nagnajiti 是 Nagnajit 国王的女儿。
And her father had a special challenge.
他的父亲发出了一个特殊的挑战。
To marry my daughter, the person that will marry her has to defeat simultaneously these very powerful 7 bulls.
他的父亲发出的挑战是这样的：要想迎娶我的女儿，那么这个人就必须同时击败7头凶猛的公牛。
Nobody could do it.
没人能做到这个。
They all got gorged by the horns of the bull. No one could subdue the bulls.
在此之前，其他的人纷纷都被这7头凶猛的公牛的牛角击败了。没有人能够征服这7头凶猛的公牛。
The king actually wanted Krishna to marry his daughter.
这位国王实际上是特别希望 Krishna 娶他的妻子，娶他的女儿。刚才我翻译错了。
And when
这位国王他特 别，实际上这位国王特别的希望 Krishna 娶他的女儿为妻。
When Krishna came to visit his kingdom, the king honored him in a very wonderful way.
当 Krishna 来到这位国王的王国的时候，这位国王以非常的礼貌的方式接待了 Krishna。
Please read.
Yes, Krishna 看到七头凶猛的公牛，便束紧衣装，他亲自扩展出7个形象，轻巧地降服了7头公牛。
If you're Krishna, it's not a problem at all.
那他是 Krishna， 所以对他来说根本没有问题。
And you can see these bulls were really big guys.
我们大家在图面上可以看到，这7头公牛特别的巨大。
The king was very pleased, and his daughter married Krishna.
这位国王非常的高兴，他高兴地将自己的女儿嫁给了 Krishna。
Now we have 2 more of the 8 special queens.
那现在我们在这8位皇后当中，还有另外2位皇后。
The next was named Bhadra.
Krishna 接下来迎娶的另一位皇后，她的名字叫 Bhadra。
Please read.
Yes, Bhadra 是 Bhadra 是 Kekeya 王国的一位公主，就 Krishna 的姑母 Sutapieti 的女儿。当她以Gandharvan 为首的兄弟们把她献给主时，主娶了她。
This Kaikeya kingdom is the same kingdom from which Kaikeyi came.
那这里面说到的凯凯亚王国是同一个，就是凯凯伊所在的王国的同一个王国。
Kaikeyi was one of the queens of Dasarath.
凯凯伊是 Dasarath 的一位王后。
In the same kingdom, the princess Bhadra became Krishna's wife.
就在这同一个王国当中的 Bhadra 公主成为了 Krishna 的妻子。
And the 8th of the special queens was named Lakshmana.
而这第8位皇后是 Lakshmana。
And as you remember, we heard these narrations already.
大家都还记得，我们曾经讲过这一段叙述。
Please read.
Espionage， 然后就迎娶了 Lakshmana 玛爪王的女儿。Krishna 只身出现在他的 Swayamvara 仪式上，将她掳走，就像 Garuda 曾经盗走半神人的甘露那样。
So remember, Krishna's in Dwarka.
大家要记住 ，Krishna 在 Dwarka，
He had 16,108 queens, but so far there's only 8.
那个时候，Krishna 他在 Dwarka 一共有16108位皇后。到目前为止，在这段描述为止 ，Krishna 迎娶了8位主要的皇后。
We had a whole class dedicated to describing Krishna's marrying simultaneously 16,100 more queens.
我们在前面花了一整节课的时间来讲述了 Krishna 同时迎娶了16100位
These were
为他的皇后。
These were the princesses who were held captive by Bhaumasura.
而这16100位公主曾经被Bhaumasura绑架着。
So they all appealed to Krishna to marry them, and he said yes.
然后后来这16100位公主同时向 Krishna 发出请求 Krishna 迎娶他们 ，Krishna 同意了。
Now let's get back to chapter 61.
我们现在再回到第61章的内容当中。
Please read.
我跟他的每一位妻子都有10个儿子。我 我在前面讲到了8位主要的皇后，我现在将向你叙述这8位皇后以 Pradyumna 为首的儿子们。
In this chapter 61, it gives name by name by name of the 10 sons of these 8 queens.
在这第61章当中，其中有一系列的诗节，每个诗节都提到了这8位主要皇后的儿子们的名字。
The first queen was Rukmini, and the first son was her son Pradyumna.
第一位主要的皇后是 Rukmini， 而 Rukmini 的第一个儿子的名字叫 Pradyumna。
Now in this chapter 61, we're going to hear that Pradyumna married Rukmi's daughter.
我们在这第61章的后面的诗节的内容当中了解到 Pradyumna 迎娶了 Rukmi 的女儿。
But remember, Rukmi doesn't like Krishna. He has enmity towards Krishna, bad feelings.
但是大家要记住 Rukmi 他对 Krishna 可是一点都不友好，非常的内心充满了敌意，对 Krishna 没有善意的情感。
But Rukmi's daughter, Rukmavati, married Pradyumna, Krishna's son.
但是 Rukmi 的女儿 Rukmavati 嫁给了 Krishna 的儿子 Pradyumna。
I hope you're not confused with all the names.
我希望大家不要
Yeah?
对这些名字搞混哈，不要被这些名字给弄得稀里糊涂了。
Because some of you are a little newer, I'll say it slowly, all the different names.
因为在座的当中可能是刚刚进来的，刚刚开始修行的，所以呢，我会放慢速度来讲到这些名字。
Krishna's first queen was Rukmini.
Krishna 的第一位皇后是 Rukmini。
Rukmini had a brother named Rukmi.
Rukmini 有一位哥哥，他的名字叫 Rukmi。
Rukmi, her brother, had a daughter named Rukmavati.
而 Rukmi 他有一个女儿，名字叫 Rukmavati。
And Rukmi's daughter married Krishna's son.
而 Rukmi 的女儿嫁给了 Krishna 的儿子，
And Pradyumna was Krishna's son.
而 Pradyumna 是 Krishna 的儿子。
Please read.
Yes， 我亲爱的国王，就 Krishna 孩子们的子孙数目1000万，16000位母亲兴旺了这个王朝。
So now we're going to have a question coming from Maharaj Parikshit to Shukadev.
现在我们即将了解到 Parikshit Maharaj 向 Shukadeva Goswami 询问的一个问题。
You see in the painting, there's Shukadev seated on his Vyasasan and the king before him asking this question.
我们在这个图片上可以看到 Shukadeva Goswami 坐在众圣人面前的一个 Vyasasana 座上，而在他面前的是 Parikshit Maharaj 向他进行询问。
Here's King Parikshit's question. Please read.
Parikshit Maharaj 询问了这样的一个问题：如何你怎会把自己的女儿嫁给他的仇敌的儿子呢
Next.
？Yes， 毕竟如何你曾在战斗中被 Krishna 击败，现在正等待时机杀死 Krishna。
Next.
博学的人呐，请向我解释这一点。这敌对双方怎么通过联姻？这敌对双方怎么通过联姻团结起来的？
It does seem strange.
看上去有点奇怪。
Just think about it.
我们大家可以想想，
one young man marries a young girl, and the parents of both want to kill each other.
就是一对一位年轻的小伙子嫁给另外一个年轻的姑娘，但是呢，双方的父亲都想杀死彼此。
Very strange.
挺奇怪的。
Please read.
Yes. 神秘家士们能完美的看到尚未发生的事，还能看到过去和现在，看到超越感官之上的事，看到久远的和被物质障碍封锁的事。
Maharaj Parikshit is saying to Shukadev, you're a mystic. You understand things that others can't understand, past, present, future. Please explain this.
但是Maharaj 向 Shukadev Goswami 进行了询问，他说到了，您是非常神秘的，那么您能够了解过去、未来，过去、现在和未来，您能够了解到其他人所不知道的事情，看到过去、现在和未来。
Shukadev gives the answer as follows. Read.
Shukadev Goswami 这样回答了 Parikshit Maharaj 的询问。Sri Shukadev Goswami 说，在他的 Swayamvara 显福大会仪式上 ，Rukmavati 本人选中了作为丘比特再生的 Pradyumna。之后，尽管 Pradyumna 独自驾驭一辆战车，却击败了集结在战场上的君王们，并将他逮捕。
I don't know the answer to this question, but I can only imagine in China, is there somebody like Cupid? The person who inspires young man and young woman to become attracted to one another and go, whoa, whoa, whoa.
中国是不是也有这样的丘比特的这样的描述？这个丘比特他激荡了一个年轻的男子，和一个年轻的姑娘，他们互相相爱，然后互相以身相许。
So that's Pradyumna is the embodiment of that person, Cupid.
这 Pradyumna 它就是丘比特的化身。
But Pradyumna wasn't just Cupid personified, he was a powerful soldier.
Pradyumna 它不仅仅是丘比特的人格化身，而且 Pradyumna 也是非常勇敢的战士。
Pradyumna, single-handedly defeated all the other kings and everyone else as he took his new wife away.
在这个描述当中，我们可以看到 Pradyumna 他单枪匹马地战败了集结在战场上的所有其他的君王们，并且将他的新婚的妻子带走。
Here's something that Jiva Goswami writes in his Sandarbha.
在这里，我们可以看到 Jiva Goswami 在他的著作 Krishna Sandarbha 当中的一段描述。
Please read.
Yes. 是了 Jiva Goswami 的 Krishna Sandarbha， 丘比特 Swara 或 Kamadeva 是主 Krishna 的永恒同游之一。
What that means is everything that's in this material world has its spiritual counterpart in the spiritual world.
那这就意味着，在这个世界上的一切，对应在灵性国度当中有与之相对应的灵性的对应。
And so Pradyumna is also one of those personalities.
所以 Pradyumna 也是这样的人物之一。
Please read.
虽然 Rukmi 一直对曾经羞辱过他的主 Krishna 心怀敌意，但为了取悦他的妹妹，他同意将自己的女儿嫁给自己的外甥。
This is the answer to the question of King Parikshit.
这就是对 Parikshit Maharaj 所提出的前面的问题的回答。
He permitted his daughter's marriage to Krishna's son because Krishna's son was also the son of his beloved sister, and he had a lot of affection for his sister.
Rukmi 同意将自己的女儿嫁给 Krishna 的儿子，那是因为 Rukmi 是 Krishna 的妻子，而Rukmi 也是 Rukmi 的妹妹，他对自己的妹妹是非常深爱的。
But the mystery's not over yet.
但是呢 ，the mystery is not over yet.
Yeah, there's more to the mystery.
Yes. 但是呢，其中的奥秘还没有结束，后面会讲到更多的奥秘。
After Pradyumna and Rukmavati married, they had a son.
在 Pradyumna 娶了Rukmavati 之后，他们生下了儿子。
And their son became married to Rukmi's granddaughter.
而他们的儿子娶了 Rukmi 的孙女。
And Rukmi didn't want it, but he didn't prevent it because of his affection for his sister.
Rukmi 呢，本是不想这桩婚姻的，但是呢，他仍然同意了，因为他深爱着他的妹妹 Rukmini。
Please read.
Yes， 王啊 ，Kritavarma 之子巴利娶了 Rukmini 的小女儿，大眼睛的 Tarumati。
Some of you may remember the story of the Shamantaka jewel.
在座的一些奉献者应该还记得什么塔卡宝石的消时光。
One of the names or one of the persons involved in the Shamantaka jewel story was Kritavarma.
在讲到什么塔卡宝石这段故事的时候，其中也涉及到了 Kritavarma 这个人物。
He had a son, and his son married the second daughter of Rukmi.
Kritavarma 有一个儿子。
Excuse me, Rukmini.
而他的儿子娶了 Rukmini 的小女儿为妻。
What this means is Rukmini had 10 sons and 1 daughter. And each of the queens had 10 sons and 1 daughter.
那就意味着 Rukmini 他有10个儿子，1个女儿。
You translate?
Yeah, Rukmini 也还有
Okay.
sons and
1 daughter.
1 daughter。
And that was true for all the queens.
而这个所有的皇后都是如此。
Now, let's read.
Yes， 尽管 Rukmi 对赌黑有不共戴天之仇，但仍旧同意把自己的孙女 Rutana 嫁给 Rukmini 的孙子 Aniruddha。
Who is Aniruddha?
Aniruddha 又是谁呢？
Aniruddha is the son of Pradyumna.
Aniruddha 是 Pradyumna 的儿子。
Pradyumna's wife was Rukmi's daughter.
Pradyumna 的妻子是 Rukmi 的女儿。
And their son, Aniruddha, married the granddaughter.
而 Rukmini 和 Krishna 的孙子 Aniruddha 娶了 Rukmi 的孙女。
But remember, Rukmi still has a grudge. He wants to get back at Krishna. He wants to kill Krishna.
但是大家也要记住 ，Rukmi 他内心对 Krishna 仍存有敌意，想要 报复 Krishna， 想要杀死 Krishna。
But he places the attachment and affection he has for his sister above his animosity toward Krishna.
但是呢，他将自己 Rukmi 将自己对妹妹的深厚的爱的情感放在了对 Krishna 的敌意之上。
In Vedic culture, this is not just a friend and enemy consideration, it's also a dharma consideration. But Rukmi went along with it anyways. It was adharmic, but he went along with it anyways because of his affection for his sister.
在伟大的文明的，在伟大文化当中，虽然这个他们之间的关系涉及到了敌友的这样的一种关系，但是呢，Rukmi 他也认为这桩婚事是不符合宗教的。即便是如此，由于 Rukmi 对自己的妹妹的深厚的情感，所以他仍然将自己的孙女嫁给了 Rukmini 的孙子。
Please read.
Yes. 尽管 Rukmi 认为这桩婚姻是不符合宗教的，但他被爱的绳索捆绑，想要取悦他的妹妹。
So there was a big marriage.
所以这是一场盛大的婚礼。
Krishna came to see his grandson being married to the granddaughter of Rukmi.
在这场盛大的隆重的婚礼上 ，Krishna 和 Rukmini 也到场了，他们来参加他们的孙子 Aniruddha 娶 Rukmini 的孙女。
And the painting is showing this big festival that's taking place at Rukmi's palace.
我们在这个图片上可以看到，在 Rukmi 的皇宫里，举行了这个充满喜庆的隆重的婚礼。
Please read.
Yes， 王在喜庆的婚礼上 ，Rukmini 皇后主 Balaram 主 Krishna， 还有以Samba 和 Pradyumna 为首的主的若干儿子，都抵达了 Rukmi 的住所 Bojakata 城。
And the wedding took place.
就这样，婚礼举行了。
After the wedding, they were having a little fun.
在这场婚礼之后，他们又进行了娱乐。
And they were playing some games, like the kings with other kings.
那国王和国王之间呢，他们做一种游戏。
Now, we don't gamble, but sometimes kings would.
我们不赌博，但是有的时候国王们会做这样的赌博竞赛。
So, Rukmi was encouraged to challenge Balaram to some gambling.
Rukmi 在其他君王的怂恿之下，向主 Balaram 发下挑战，进行赌博比赛。
Here's the story. Please read.
这段故事是这样子的：在婚礼之后，以卡林嘎王为首的一群傲慢君王对 Rukmi 说道：“你应该在骰子游戏中击败巴拉拉。”
Read.
王虽然他不擅长玩骰子，可是对他特别上瘾。这样被建议之后 ，Rukmi 向巴拉拉发起了挑战，跟他开始了一场赌博较量。
This is not so dissimilar from the gambling match where the Pandavas lost their kingdom.
那么呢，这场赌博的较量呢，就跟 Pandava 兄弟参加一场赌博较量当中失去了他们的王国，并不是结果跟 Pandava 兄弟在赌博竞赛当中失去王国的结果是不一样的，截然不同的。
The purpose here was to insult Balaram. That was a big mistake.
在这里面 Rukmi 进行这场赌博较量的目的，就是想要去羞辱主巴拉拉。
Read.
Yes， 在这场较量中，主巴拉拉玛首先接受了100枚钱币的赌注，接着是1000、10000枚钱币。
And these are gold coins.
而这些钱币全都是金币。
Please read.
Yes， Rukmi 赢了第一轮，并且卡宁嘎王咧嘴露出所有牙齿，大声取笑主巴拉拉玛。主巴拉拉玛对此忍无可忍。
This king of Kalinga is going to get his teeth bashed in.
卡宁嘎王在后面会被他的牙齿全部都被撬了出来。
Next.
Yes， 这个卢克密接受了10万钱币的补助，这被主巴拉拉玛赢去了。但是卢克密企图欺骗众人，宣布说我是赢家。
Rukmini lied and cheated, saying that he won.
众人欺骗众人，宣布说他赢了。
Balaram was really angry.
巴拉拉玛真的是怒不可遏。
Now read.
Yes， 雍正的主巴拉拉玛气得发抖，眼如满月之日的海洋。他自然泛红的双眼在暴露中更加红了。他接受了1亿钱币的赌注。
100 million gold coins.
1亿金币的赌注哦。
And Balaram won. And Rukmi said, I won. You're lying.
而卢克密却说我赢了，你撒谎，说巴拉让撒谎。
Then a voice came from the sky saying, We saw Balaram won.
就在那个时候，一个天外来音宣布了，我们看到了巴拉让赢了。
Read.
Yes， 主巴拉拉玛又公正的赢了这笔赌注，可是卢克密却再一次当众欺骗说我赢了。让这些目击证人说说他们看到了什么吧。
Now, most of the witnesses in the room were his friends.
在屋子里的大多数目击者全都是卢克密的朋友。
But this voice from the sky came, and everyone heard it.
而这个从天空里出现的这个声音，做了如下的宣布，每一个人都听到。
Read.
Yes， 就在那时，一个天外来音宣布说，巴拉玛公正的赢了这笔赌注，卢克密的确在撒谎。
So what did Rukmini do when he heard that voice from the sky?
当卢克密听了这个天外来音所说的一席话，卢克密是怎么做的呢？
Read.
Yes， 卢克密在各位邪恶君王的怂恿之下，对那神圣的声音不屑一顾。实际上，命运本身在催促着卢克密如下讥讽主巴拉拉玛。
Instead of accepting the confirmation for what he had asked, he started insulting Balaram. Uh-oh.
卢克密他不仅没有接受这个天外来音的确认的这个肯定的话语，他拒之不接受，反而他去侮辱主巴拉拉玛。
Read.
卢克密说：“你们游荡在森林的牧牛人对玩骰子一无所知，玩骰子和舞弄弓箭只有君王们做得来，哪是你这类人干的事儿？”
He just offended Balaram like that, in addition to 100 million gold coins. Finished.
卢克密他不仅撒谎，说自己赢了1亿钱币的赌注，而且他在这里当着众人冒犯了主巴拉拉玛，结果那他真的就完蛋了。
Read.
Yes， 如此受到卢克密和君王们的侮辱与讥讽，主巴拉拉玛怒不可遏， 就在吉祥的婚礼集会上，他操起大杵击毙了卢克密。
There you see Balaram with his club raised.
在这个图片上，我们可以看到巴拉拉举起了他的大杵。
There you see Rukmi getting bonked in the head.
我们可以看到卢克密，他被大杵击中了头部。
And all the other people are really startled. What to do? What to do?
而其他在场的其他的君王们，他们不知所措，不知道该怎么办呢？
And then there was the king of Kalinga that was showing his teeth.
就在先前曾经露出自己的牙齿嘲笑主巴拉拉玛的卡林嘎国王，他的下场如何呢？
He got smashed in the teeth by Balaram's club.
巴拉拉玛用他的大杵把卡林嘎国王的满口白牙打了下来。
Please read.
Yes， 刚才咧嘴露牙嘲笑主巴拉拉玛的卡林嘎王企图逃跑，但暴怒的主却在他跑到第10步的时候，迅速地将他擒获，打掉了他的满口白牙。
Next.
Yes， 其他君王受到主巴拉拉玛神杵的痛击，仓皇而逃，他们的胳膊、大腿、头颅被打破，浑身浸满鲜血。
Don't make Balaram angry or you're in trouble.
可别让巴拉拉玛生气啊，要不然自己可就麻烦了。
Next.
Yes， 当 Krishna 的英雄被杀死，主 Krishna 既没有赞许，也没有反对。王啊，因为他担心殃及他跟 Rukmini 和主巴拉拉玛的亲密关系。
It's not that Krishna disapproved, but he didn't say anything one way or the other.
Krishna 在这里既没有赞许，也没有表示反对。
Next.
Yes， 然后以主巴拉拉玛为首的达沙哈的后裔们，请阿尼如达和他的新娘坐上了精美的战车，从波杰卡塔启程前往杜瓦尔卡。
So now we find Krishna marries Rukmini.
我们在前面了解到了 Krishna 跟 Rukmi 进行了一场战斗。
The eldest son of Krishna and Rukmini marries Rukmi's daughter.
Krishna 和 Rukmini 的长子娶了 Rukmi 的女儿。
And their daughter marries Pradyumna's, their granddaughter. Their daughter marries Krishna's granddaughter. Something like that.
Krishna 和 Rukmini 的孙子后来娶了 Rukmi 的孙女。
And everybody goes back to Dwarka.
在这个时候，他们所有人一起启程前返回杜瓦尔卡。
And this is the last slide.
这是今天讲课的最后一张幻灯片了。
This is chapter 61 of Canto 10 Srimad Bhagavatam.
刚我们讲述的内容是圣典国家晚坛第10篇第61章。
And I try to give you a little quick summary of many of the chapters preceding describing the marriages of Krishna to these many wives.
那么我在这里呢，快速的给大家来总结一下 ，Krishna 在前面允许了他的众多妻子之后的这后面所发生的系列的婚姻。
Now, I don't recall if we had any questions remaining from the last class.
我不记得在上一次的周四的早课的时候，是否遗留下问题。
But if there are remaining questions from the last class or this class, now's the time. We have some time remaining.
那么，不管是是上一次还是这一次吧，请大家现在都可以提问，就是现在进入到了提问时间。Yes, good night. There are several questions.
Okay.
第一个提问是幸运星顶外咕噜，一个已经被丘比特爱神之箭击中内心的人，不想因这种打扰而选择走入婚姻生活，向 Krsna 祈祷 ，Krsna 会帮助拿走这种对异性的依恋吗？如果没有了对异性的依恋，是不是就不用结婚了呢？So this question raised by Fortunate Star. I offer my obeisance to Guru. For example, if one who is short, if one who is hit by the arrows of Chobit, but this person doesn't want to be disturbed and choose marriage, and then this person pray to Lord Krishna. So Krishna will Krishna take away attachment to the opposite sex?
It depends.
这是因情况而定哦。If such a person do not have any attachment to the opposite sex, so that means for such a person, no need to marry.
That's correct.
是的，如果没有对异性的依恋，是不是就不用结婚了呢？是的，可以不用结婚。
And the opposite is also true.
那反过来也是如此。
But what Krishna is going to give and what Krishna is going to take away depends on Krishna.
Krishna 给什么，或者是 Krishna 拿走什么，这取决于 Krishna。
Generally speaking, conditioned souls have a mix of desires.
通常来说，受条件限制的灵魂他们有着各种各样的私心杂念。
Using this example, someone may want to become free, but they're also attached, and so it's a mix.
那么我们可以把这个来作为一个例子。有的人他们可能有这样的愿望，但与此同时呢，内心还有一些依恋，一些执着和依附，所以是这种混杂的愿望。
How Krishna interacts with that person depends on Krishna and many other factors that Krishna considers.
那 Krishna 是如何来回应这样的人呢？这是取决于 Krishna 而且还要考虑到其他的一些因素。
In all circumstances, Krishna he remains the well-wisher.
无论是在什么样的情况下，在任何情况下 ，Krishna 始终是祝愿者。
And a faithful devotee understands like that.
而且内心充满信心的奉献者，他们始终都明白这一点。
Next question.
Yes, next question from Prasanta Devi Dasi Mataji. Hare Krishna 顶拜 Guru 顶拜所有奉献者，重男轻女是怎么回事？为什么 Krishna 的后代男多女少呢？So this question is that I would like I offer my Hare Krishna, I offer my obeisance to Guru Maharaj and all the devotees. I would like to know, what meaning of up to men and down on women? Or prefer boys to girls? Why among Krishna's descendants, female more than the number of male, more than the number of female?
You have to ask Krishna.
关于这个为什么 Krishna 的后代男多女少，你得问问 Krishna。
That's it.
And in the first part of the question, that how to understand that look up to the men and down on women.
Well, who says look down on women?
No. 谁说重男轻女来着？
Let me ask Prasanta, if you have wealth, how do you regard that wealth?
那么 wealth， 那我来问一下 Prasanta 一个问题：如果你有了这个富裕，那你是对这个富裕怎么用来着？
You put that wealth in a safe place, and you give that wealth some protection because you value that wealth.
那你会拿这笔财富怎么办呢？那你会把它放在这个安全的地方保护起来，把这笔财富保护起来。
In Vedic society, the female section of society is a great wealth, and therefore protected.
那么在伟达社会当中，这个女性是一笔珍贵的财富，所以她们被保护起来了。
Next.
Oh, so far no more questions.
Okay. Let's see if there's some questions in the room while some more questions now, yeah?
Yes, sorry. One more question.
Okay.
Yeah. 问题是 Ratnamala Mataji 的一个问题。Hare Krishna 顶拜 Guru Maharaj， 顶拜所有奉献者。我们现在生活的这种状况，为什么不能近亲结婚呢？这种状况是不符合伟达文化吗？感恩 Guru Maharaj. I offer my obeisance to Guru Maharaj and all the devotees. So in the modern life, 为什么这种状况为什么不能近亲啊？我们现在生活的 in our modern life, why we are not encouraged to marry with the relatives? Our current situation or condition is not on the line with Vedic culture.
I was asked this question some time ago, and I gave a not clear answer like I'm going to give now.
那么在此之前呢，也有人问过我类似的问题，也许那一次是不是没有回答的太清楚？那我现在再回答一遍。
There is a rule in Vedic culture of what kinds of marriages are auspicious and other kinds of marriages are inauspicious, and it has something to do with cousins, and I don't understand the rule.
那么在这个伟达的这个文化当中，有一个特殊的规则啊。那么在通过这个规则，能够了解到什么样的婚姻是吉祥的，什么样的婚姻是不吉祥的。然后当看到这个近亲结婚的时候，近亲的婚姻的时候，我也对此也 也提出了疑惑。
So I don't know what modern society says in comparison to Vedic society, but I know I have some idea what Vedic society says. Some of those marriages are auspicious; they're very good, and some of them are not to be done at all. They're very bad. And which ones are which are not clear to me. And it's not governed by modern society and rules.
我不知道现在这个社会，现在生活当中的这个规则是什么样子。那么在伟达的时代，有这样的一个规则，在什么情况下这样的近亲的婚姻是吉祥的？有一个这样的一个规则，在什么情况下近亲的婚姻是不吉祥的？但是呢，我对这个规则仍然不是太清楚。
My recommendation to all of you in China is you follow your local custom.
而我在此提出来的建议就是，在国内，你们遵守国内的这些社会规则习俗。
Now the question was not, should we follow our local culture or follow the Vedic culture? It's follow your local culture. The question was, why is there this distinction? And it has something to do with a principle that's considered auspicious versus inauspicious.
那么可能会提出来这样的问题：我们到底是按照当地的这些社会规则习俗去做呢，还是去遵守伟达的这些社会的规则习俗呢？或者是说他们之间有什么区别呢？那么关于这上面的问题的话，那么在伟达文化当中，对这种近亲的结婚是有一定的规则的。在什么情况下近亲婚姻是吉祥的？在什么情况下近亲结婚是不吉祥的？有这样的规则。
Next, anything?
Right, no more.
Okay, we have a number of people in the room here, 20 plus. So let's see if anybody in the room has a question. We have a portable microphone.
我们在我们的这边的房间呢，现场有20位奉献者，我们来看看他们会提出一些问题来。我们房间里也准备了几个麦克。
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj. My question is, Rukmi had enmity towards Krishna, actually. But after the marriage of Anirudh and Rochana, he invited Balaram to do the dice game and insulted and provoked him, but not Krishna. So I was wondering, is there any reason behind why he called Balaram?
那么我要提出来的这个问题是这样子的 ：Krishna， Rukmi 对 Krishna 内心充满了敌意。那么在 Rukmi 的孙女 Rochana 嫁给了 Krishna 的孙子 Aniruddha 这场婚姻之后，Rukmi 向主 Balaram 发出挑战来进行赌博比赛。掷骰子的这个赌博竞赛，那么为什么？那实际上是 Rukmi 对 Krishna 内心充满敌意，他为什么却向主 Balaram 发出这样的挑战呢？这其中背后有什么原因呢？
This question is a natural question to ask.
这个问题呢，是自然而然会有人问到的。
It's a question that occurred to me also.
实际上我也想过这个问题。
And when I searched the commentary, I didn't find an answer in our commentary.
而且我去查询了一些这个评述，但是呢，我在评述当中并没有找到关于这个问题的答案。
Only there's a clue that it was instigated by not Rukmi, but the king of Kalinga.
那么，但是我们这里可以找到一个线索，向主巴拉拉玛发起这样的挑战，并不是 Rukmi 他自己本意要去发起的，而是在Kalinga 的怂恿之下发出了这样的挑战。
The king of Kalinga saw a weakness.
卡宁嘎国王他看到了这样的主巴拉拉玛身上的这样的一个弱点。
Balaram likes competition, and Balaram is not good at dice, so why don't you challenge him in dice?
宁嘎国王他发现主巴拉拉玛特别的喜欢这个掷骰子游戏，掷骰子，但是呢他又不擅长掷骰子，所以呢卡宁嘎国王怂恿卢克尼向主巴拉拉玛发出这样的挑战。
Now, there might be other reasons.
也许还有其他的一些原因。
One of those other reasons might be that Rukmi had a contaminated, offensive heart, and it was good for him to be killed, and better for Balaram to kill him than Krishna because of Krishna and Rukmini's marriage.
那么可能还有其他的原因，而其他的原因呢，就是卢克密他的内心受到了污染。那最好是巴拉拉玛来杀死卢克密，而不是 Krishna 亲自杀死他，因为 Krishna 娶了他的妹妹卢克尼。
Krishna came into this world at the request of the demigods to relieve the burden of earth of demoniac kings.
Krishna 降临于世，Krishna 是在众位诞神人的请求之下降临于世，来铲除这个地球上的恶魔君王的这一重负。
One of those demoniac kings was Rukmi.
而在众多的恶魔君王当中，Rukmi 就是其中的一位。
We can say Rukmi was demoniac because he was against Krishna. That's demoniac.
我们可以说 Rukmi 他内心是邪恶的，是恶魔般的，因为他对 Krishna 充满敌意。
And he was ready to offend Balaram.
而且他准备要去冒犯巴拉拉，
That's also demoniac.
这种心态也是非常邪恶和恶魔般的。
So Balaram was the right one to relieve the burden of the earth of Rukmini's presence on earth.
所以巴拉拉玛是合适的人选，将 Rukmi 这个邪恶的君王、恶魔般的君王从地球上铲除掉。
Krishna would have done it already, but Rukmini appealed to him on behalf of her brother.
Krishna 在此前呢是本来想杀死 Rukmi 的，但是在 Rukmi 的妹妹 Rukmini 的请求下 ，Krishna 饶过了 Rukmi 的性命。
Anything online yet? Questions there in China?
So far, no more question.
Anything in our room here?
请问
Nothing online. Okay, if there's nothing in the room, then we have something over here.
Just wondering, Maharaj, if this number 16,108 has any significance?
Translate.
关于 Krishna 他迎娶了16108位皇后，这16108这个数字有什么意义吗？有什么重大意义吗？
These numerology questions may have many answers.
关于这个数字的问题，可以有很多很多的答案。
We know 108 is an auspicious number.
我们都知道108是一个非常吉祥的数字。
And 16 seems to be a nice number too.
16000呢，也是一个吉祥的数字。
but I don't know the numerology topic, so I think it's just an auspicious number. That's all.
但是呢，我对这个数字没有什么研究，对这个方面不熟，数字学没有什么不熟，所以我只是它是一个吉祥的数字，只知道它是一个吉祥的数字。
I think we're ready to end. There's another question. One more question. Over here, there's a question.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
You speak loud.
Okay. Yeah. So, is it that the fact that Rukmi was punished so severely, is it that his accumulated bad karma resulting in
Not just bad karma, he's demoniac. Anyway, we translate.
Yes. 那么 Rukmi 他的下场，他遭到如此严厉的下场，那是由于他积累的这些恶报导致的吗？
Rukmi didn't just have bad karma, he wanted to kill Krishna.
Rukmi 他不仅有这个受到恶报的影响，而且他对 Krishna 是心怀敌意。
There's a difference between sin and vilification or having animosity toward Krishna. There's difference. There's a difference between doing sins and having animosity toward Krishna.
那么从事罪恶活动、作恶，跟这个对 Krishna 心怀敌意，还是有所不同的。
Okay? Okay.
大家还有什么问题提出来吗？请尽快发到聊天室里。Yeah, Guru Maharaj, here one more question.
Okay. Well, then we're done.
Yes. Yeah. 问了一个问题：顶拜敬爱的公主及奉献者，年轻的奉献者的择偶时，按世俗的占卜，双方的属相生成是不吉祥的。结婚是否能生活顺利？结婚是否能生活的顺利？ Oh yeah. I also my obeisances to our dear Guru and devotees. So the young devotees, before they get married, they go to ask the astrologer to see to see their
Horoscope.
the birth, horoscope, and if their horoscope does not match with each other, or it shows that not auspicious, so that means their marriage will not be successful.
That's it? Is there more to the question?
Yeah, this is the question.
And there's nothing more to the question.
Oh, Gurmat, you are ready?
I'm ready to answer. I just want to know, because sometimes here's some additional part of the question. I want to know in advance. Is there something additional, or is that it?
Additional.
Go ahead. Read the additional.
Yeah, the same person raised the
I thought so.
question. Yeah. And so that means they can, their marriage will not be successful, smooth. And 奉献是否就打破业报规则呢？ So Bhakti will overcome the rule of karma.
Okay. This is a messy topic.
This is the math.
This is a messy, complicated,
Yeah.
not so clear. That's not a black and white topic.
那么呢，这个呢不，这个问题呢是一个比较复杂的一个问题，不是说是黑非即白的这样的一个问题。
First of all, finding a qualified astrologer, good luck.
首先呢，要去找到一个非常合格的占星家，那你就，如果您能够找到这样的一个合格的占星家，那你就是幸运的。
I know individuals who've consulted 3 or 4 different astrologers that are considered to be very qualified and got 3 or 4 different answers, responses from those qualified astrologers.
那个 different answer。
Different answer from each one.
那么我知道呢，有那么2、3位、3、4位非常合格的占星家，但是呢，从这合格的这几位合格的占星家那里得到了不同的答案。
For that reason and other reasons, it's not a good idea that there's only one criterion and that's what your favorite astrologer says. In deciding marriage, it's not a good idea just to have everything resting on that one thing.
Yes, yes. 那么呢，还有一个要考虑的就是说，把自己的婚姻只是指望在一个这样的占星家身上，这是一个这是一个不太好的一个选择。
Now, sometimes there is such a thing as a good astrologer, and that is certainly something that should be given a lot of weight.
那么当然了，我们通过这个占卜、占星，有很多这种情况，有很多人呢把这个看得比较重。
Second part to this response.
关于这个回答的第二个部分是这样子。
Yes, bhakti can overcome everything material.
这个 bhakti 能够超越物质的一切物质之上。
The next question is, how strong is your bhakti?
那么下一个问题是，你的 bhakti 到底有多强烈呢？
Many people have bhakti that's not so strong, and therefore material influences make a big difference in how they view things and how they behave.
那么有很多人呢，他们的分爱并不是那么的坚定，那么的强烈，所以呢，他们在很多事情上受到很多物质的影响。That's it.
No, I'm contemplating what's step 3 and step 4 to respond to this question that's not black and white. I'm pausing because of that reason.
Yes, 刚才姑妈二姐她稍微的停顿了一下，我就问姑妈二姐是不是对这个问题回答完了。然后姑妈二姐说她再停下来想再思考一下，在思考着对这个问题的回答的第3部分和第4部分的回答内容。
In ISKCON today, there is a facility, at least here in America, for counseling before marriage, premarital counseling.
Yes. 那么在 ISKCON，现在在 ISKCON 当中，现在至少是在北美，在美国，这个有关于婚前的咨询，对奉献者婚前咨询的这个 服务，为奉献者提供这种便利。
There is some idea in China to develop a Chinese wing or division under the guidance of the Grahast division team that do this here in the West.
那么呢，在中国呢，也有这样的一个也有这样的一个想法和愿景，就是跟在这个北美奉献者所做的这个关于知识生活的相关的咨询，国内也会有这样的计划去实行。
As far as possible, I would recommend for a young man, a young woman contemplating becoming married, that they go through that procedure of evaluating compatibility through that process.
那我在这里建议呢，就是那些现在即将要结婚的年轻男士们、女士们，你们可以去来，就是对于互相的这种性情啊什么的，去做这种婚前的相关的咨询。
I think I'll stop there. You know, the astrology is not a 10, it's not a 0, and it's not a 10. He likes her, she likes him. It's not a 0, it's not a 10. And, you know, you find out what it's like to be with somebody when you live with them more than just like, you know, become friends. It's a whole other thing. Translate.
Yes. 那么呢，这个占星或者是占卜，这个也不能说它是一点用没有，属于零作用，也不能说它是起到100%的，打10分。那么关于这个男方喜欢女方，女方喜欢男方，这个也不能说是0，也不能说是打到满分哈，这样的。这个就是彼此之间的情投意合。Could you repeat the later part?
I don't remember I don't know how far you got and where you stopped. So I don't, you know, just do the best you can. It's complicated, and it's, you know, the last part was you really don't know what it's like to be with somebody until you live with them. And then you find out what it's like to be with them when you live with them.
那也就是但是呢，事实是这样子的，你想彻底的了解一个人，除非你跟他就是能生活在一起很长的时间，你可以彻彻底底的去了解对方。
So it is a good idea to consult an astrologer, but it's not a 10. It's not everything.
当然了，在婚前的时候去做这个占星呢，这是一个好的想法。但是呢，占星不是说它起的作用不是说0，但是呢也不是100%完全依靠占星。
Okay.
Yeah.
That's it, right?
You would like more questions?
More question.
Okay. Yes.
Okay. As long as it's not about astrologers.
Next question. 顶拜 Guru， 现在社会姐弟恋比较普遍，有的生活的却非常的幸福。请问伟达文化反对姐弟恋吗？如果一个人的婚姻已经是姐弟恋的关系，应该注意什么呢？ So this devotee, fortunate star, asked the question that in our modern society, such a couple is very very general phenomenon. For example, the lover. For example, the female is elder than the male, and and such a lover, they became get married, and their marriage is very happy. So in the Vedic culture, is against such a marriage in which the wife is elder than the husband.
The reason for having this, the man is older than the woman, is so the woman can look up to the man. Generally, age has some place in where one looks up, and also the desires of this age and that age have some bearing. However, I know of some very nice couples where the woman is significantly older than the man, and it's a fantastic marriage. So there's guidelines that Vedic culture provides, and some people just stick to those guidelines, and others have some more flexibility. And the principle is the woman being able to look up to and feel the support from her husband.
那么一般的情况下，关于这个年龄，就是夫妻双这种在这里面说到的婚姻夫妻双方的年龄这个上面，就是一般来说是男方大于女方的话，女方呢她就非常的敬仰这个男方，然后有助于他在生活当中履行他的这种相夫的各种职责。那么这在伟达在这方面，伟达文化在这方面提供了相关的规则和指南。然而呢，也有这个灵活处理的时候。那么这是给出的一个普遍的一个指南，但是也有灵活处理的时候。比如据我所了解到的，有几对夫妻，他们的婚姻就是您在这里说到的，妻子比丈夫要大一些，但是呢，他们生活的也挺美满幸福的，他们的婚姻非常的好，非常的美满。
More?
So yes. So if one's marriage is like this, so what's the points they should pay attention to?
We've already discussed. The question is a repeat of a previous question.
但是你后面问的，如果一个人的婚姻已经是姐弟恋的关系，应该注意什么？那么实际上在前面的回答的时候也提到了这个。
I didn't think we'd end up in a marriage counseling session.
Sorry, go ahead.
Translate. I didn't think we'd end up in a marriage counseling session. Translate.
我不想我们会结束这个北美的他们这个婚姻咨询的这样的话题。
Is that it?
Yeah, the next question?
Is there another question?
Yes.
Okay.
3 more. Yeah, 3 more. 顶拜孤儿的莲花族，顶拜翻译和所有奉献者，请问丘比特是人格的吗？怎样理解 ？Also know this question raised by 仆人servant. I offer my obeisance to Guru's lotus feet and all the devotees. 顶拜您。My question is that Cupid is a personified. How to understand this?
Everything is personified.
一切都是人格的。
Our Vedic culture teaches us that even the elements, even time, even the mind, even anything, everything in the spiritual realm is personified. There's a personality of each of these things, including Cupid. Why not?
在伟达，我们从伟达文化当中了解到， 像时间因素等等，所有的一切都是有人格性，都是人格性的。所有的这一切在灵性的国度里都有与之相应的灵性的人格形象。
Next.
Yes, the next question, Galaxy. 我们奉献者教异性恋人时，祈祷主会参与给做安排吗？ So we as devotees, when we make a friend with the opposite sex, and we pray to Lord Krishna, so Lord will involve the arrangement.
Maybe, maybe not.
我们奉献者教异性恋人时，祈祷主会参与给做安排吗？也许会，也许不会吧。
That's it. Because I'm a devotee, because you're a devotee, and you have a liking from someone else, is Krishna going to make that, a wonderful relationship or not? And, it depends. There's no guarantee of anything.
那你是奉献者，然后呢，你喜欢上了另外一个人，那你向 Krishna 祈祷 ，Krishna 会参与做安排吗？这个 Krishna 也许会，也许不会，这取决于 Krishna。
One thing we can count on, and that is that Krishna is very kind, and we can always count on that.
但是呢，有一点我们要始终铭记的，那就是无论在什么情况下 ，Krishna 都是非常仁慈。
And things of this world are very uncertain.
而我们要想到，这个世界是充满了各种不稳定因素的。
If you want a life of certainty in a world that always is uncertain, you're going to be disappointed.
如果你希望得到非常稳定的这种充满稳定性的这种生活的话，但是呢，我们所置身于的这个物质世界又是充满各种不稳定因素的，那么你可能就会失望了。
Next.
Yes. Next question from the Munatira method. 接下来顶拜Guru Maharaj，请问如何做到不受物质的影响？如何增强把物质的资源和力量用于奉爱的传播和服务的力量和智慧呢？感恩Guru Maharaj。This question comes from the Munatira method. I deeply offer my obeisances to Guru Maharaj. My question is that how can we not be influenced by material things, and how to strengthen our ascetic power and intelligence, that we use all the resources and power or strength in devotional service or in preaching and spreading bhakti.
There's a how-to question again.
这里又提出了如何的问题。
By Krishna consciousness, that's how to.
那通过 Krishna 知觉，这就是来回答你的这两个如何的问题。
Attraction for material is directly connected to weakening of our attraction for Krishna.
我们对物质的吸引是跟我们对 Krishna 的吸引这方面的吸引削弱是息息相关的，就是减弱了我们对 Krishna 的我们对 Krishna 的我们对物质的吸引是由于我们对 Krishna 的吸引减弱了，跟这个是息息相关的。
The opposite is also true.
那反之亦然。
When you are very strong in your affinity and attachment and attraction for Krishna, the weight that material things and influences have upon you diminishes proportionately.
那如果你非常的深深的依恋着 Krishna， 深深的被 Krishna 所吸引，那么物质所产生的作用，所产生的影响，在你身上就会成正比的减弱。
And the other part of her question, how do you become an advanced devotee, is by following the advanced devotees. And you'll become an advanced devotee.
那么可能会提出另一个问题来，如何成为精进的奉献者呢？那就是去追随精进奉献者的步伐，就能够使自己成为一个精进的奉献者。
Rupa Goswami gives us some standards. Our teachers explain those standards, and we follow, and we become advanced devotees, and everything is nice.
卢帕哥斯瓦米和萨那特哥斯瓦米为我们提供了与之相关的标准，我们如样的去追随这个标准，去追随这些精进奉献者们他们的步伐，那么一切都会美好。
I think that's it. Let's end. Srila Prabhupada ki. Gaur Premanandi.
那非常感谢 Guru Maharaj, thank you very much Guru Maharaj， 非常感谢Guru Maharaj。